Mongolia is one of the few countries in our globalized and increasingly equal planet to ride on the back of a horse without any limit.
In 2005, Mila and I traveled to northern Mongolia on the back of her brave little horses, accompanied by our translator Chuka and our guide Dasha, from Lake Khovsgol to the Ulan Mountains in the eastern taiga, home of the reindeer herders, the Tsaatan.
18 years later, in 2023, we have returned to the re-encounter with the Dharkat and the Tsaatan, but this time accompanied by our two daughters, Uxue, 12 years old, and Garazi, 9 years old.
In chapters 2 and 3, we told you that on August 5th, 2023, we began our horseback journey in the village of Khovsgol, south of Lake Khovsgol. It took us 3 days along the lake shore to reach a small plain called Jiglegim, and another 2 days to cross the pass between the Corridor-Saridag Mountains and the Bayan Mountains to reach Renchinlkhümbe, one of the two villages in the Dharkat Depression. In total, 125 kilometers, averaging 25 kilometers per day.
In Renchinlkhümbe, to our surprise, we were met again by Dasha, our guide on the 2005 trip, and his wife, Bimba. They welcomed us into their home, where we shared pleasant moments reminiscing about that unforgettable journey. In the village, we also stocked up on food for the next 6 days, until we reached the village of Tsaganursan, north of the Darhad Depression.
On day 6 of the expedition, we leave Renchinlkhümbe and travel north through the vast steppes of the Darhad Depression. On day 7, we continue our journey through lakes, wetlands, and rivers until we reach the base of the Sayan Mountains and their dense, wet boreal forest. These mountains are home to the Tsaatan, the nomadic reindeer herders. In the past, the Darhad Depression was home to a large lake fed by glaciers from the surrounding mountains. To the southwest are the Corridor-Saridag Mountains, to the east the Bayan Mountains, to the north the Sayan Mountains, and to the west the Ulan Mountains. Today, the depression stretches 160 kilometers long and 40 kilometers wide, covering an area of 4,000 square kilometers.
The 6th day of the expedition dawned sunny. We say goodbye to Dasha and Bimba, still excited. We ride through the streets of Renchinlkhümbe, heading north out of the town. We pass the petrol station and gradually leave the village behind us. With the landscape of the Corridor-Saridag Mountains in the background.
Mama leads the expedition, always in charge of one pack horse. The other is led by Monka, who has joined the group to replace Bata, who had to leave us due to his mother's health problems. Monka, a young man of 24, is very smiley, in contrast to Mama, who seldom smiles.
Unfortunately, the sky is quickly becoming overcast. The steppe landscape offers a clear view of the approaching storm. In the vastness of the steppe, there is no shelter from the rain, so there is no choice but to sheath the ponchos and move on.
The Dharkat Depression is characterized by a landscape dominated by an abundance of wetlands, rivers, and lakes. Throughout the valley, hundreds of small lakes are scattered, forming an extensive wetland system that enriches biodiversity and defines the region's ecosystem.
One after another, we cross herds of yaks, sheep, goats, and horses belonging to Darkhat shepherds scattered across this vast steppe.
Here and there, among the endless landscape, we can see the ger, the traditional nomadic shelters, and some small wooden houses belonging to these families.
This time, the river is deeper and more plentiful. The horses hesitate before plunging into the current. We hold the reins tightly. The water is up to our knees. Mama and Munka help us.
The rain has stopped, leaving behind a clean, fresh air. Our horses take up the trot with renewed energy, and we feel the rhythm of the horses connecting us to the land. Each step takes us deeper into the valley, a remote and inaccessible place that seems to exist outside of time.
I have named my horse Potsi. He is a bit lazy and always lags behind. But I don't give up, and with determination, I try again and again to make him gallop.
I have named my horse Putsi. I understand him well, so it is easy to find the perfect rhythm. We move forward in tune.
With these last gallops, today's journey comes to an end. Mama chooses a lonely place in the middle of the steppe to camp. While they unsaddle the horses and put them out to pasture, we first set up Mama and Manka's tent and then our own. A Mongolian tea comforts us before we prepare dinner, which as always we enjoy in the last light of day. This simple and familiar routine is repeated every night.
At 7 a.m., at first light, we wake up in the middle of the steppe. Unlike on other days, today we are greeted by a splendid sun. The big task at dawn is to gather everything and load it onto the horses. Although the camp may look like chaos, the ritual is always the same, and in a few minutes everything is in its place.
Mama and Monka saddle and distribute the load with ritual precision. Each leather strap is expertly adjusted, ensuring that everything stays in place. But it is no easy task. 3 people are needed. While 2 tie firmly, A third must hold the horse, which snorts uneasily as it feels the pressure of the girths. It's a team effort where every gesture counts.
And so we began a new day's journey.
Natural.
Garazi reveals his trick to get his lazy horse, Uxue, to move forward.
We have named my horse Izutu, which in English means fearful because of his restless and scary character. I guide him without being able to let my guard down for a second. The trust between us is still under construction, a fragile balance between prudence and control.
Mama and Muka take advantage of these quiet stretches to check their mobiles, although it is a mystery what they are looking at, as there is apparently no reception here. Even so, they are capable of carrying 2 horses each.
Fermincho, the pack horse, is on the loose and from time to time gives us a headache or two.
We have called my horse Ezingeldi in Basque, a name that suits him perfectly because of his strength and his desire to move forward without pause. He is a faithful and noble companion, but his overflowing energy sometimes plays tricks on me, especially when I try to film while we are riding.
Today, once again, the steppe landscapes, rivers, lakes, and Sayan mountains in the background, together with gear and scattered cottages, do not disappoint and invite us to capture them in magnificent photographs.
Mid-morning we reached the Shargan River and stopped on its banks for a quick lunch, surrounded by scenery and stillness.
A floating bridge of steel plates, supported by a hidden floating base, sways with the current. So that the movement would not disturb the horses, we crossed it on foot, moving cautiously.
Later, we passed a small settlement of several shepherd families and decided to stop to rest and greet them.
We are invited into their small wooden house, which has replaced the increasingly rare traditional gur. Hospitality is a fundamental pillar of Mongolian culture. The greeting is San Ban Yu. As we are welcomed, it is common for women to take care of us, offering food and drinks such as hot tea, bread and cheese, all handmade from the products of their own livestock. Despite the change in structure, the interior retains the essence of a ger. Everything is organized around a central cooker, fueled by dried dung or argal, which not only heats the space, but also serves as a cooking cooker. The men sit on the west side, while the women occupy the east side, where domestic chores are carried out. Mama and Muka converse with Duji, the patriarch, while we, unable to participate directly, observe with curiosity and a desire to learn. At one point, Duji tells us that they spend the summer here, but in winter they move to Renchinlkhümbe, where conditions are more bearable. We said goodbye to Duji and his family and thanked them for their hospitality.
We continue our route in the heat of the afternoon, with the hill we have to overcome rising up in front of us.
But first we must cross a new floating bridge, this time made of wood.
Even the horses feel the heat and shake their heads up and down, making the journey even more uncomfortable due to our lack of experience. The pace is slow and monotonous, so we take the opportunity to brush up on our maths.
At the top of the hill is an ovu, a small mound of stones, trunks and cow skulls. It is a sacred symbol in Mongolian shamanic and Buddhist tradition, closely linked to the traveler. It is used to make offerings and rituals addressed to the spirits of nature, as well as to ask for protection, good luck and success in travel. Mama and Muka advise us to circle the ovu clockwise 3 times and tie some of the horse's hair as an offering. It is also common to leave other tributes, such as a stone, a blue handkerchief, kadag, a bottle of vodka or some tobacco.
On the way down, endless new landscapes await us. But what surprises us most and fills us with joy is to meet this herd of free Bactrian camels.
The horses stop, reluctant to continue without quenching their thirst. There is nothing left to do but take it easy. While we wait for them to drink, we enjoy the stillness of the place, the murmur of the water and the breeze. Suddenly, the sound of a motorbike breaks the tranquility. 2 mounted boys set off across the river without even analyzing the depth of the water.
New scene on the river. 2 girls on a motorbike approach the bank. Without hesitation, they set off across the river with determination. Unlike the 2 boys who tried earlier, they ride through the current with skill, maneuvering deftly between the water and the rocks.
At last, after a long day of traveling, Mama and Munka have found a perfect place to camp. Right on the edge of a lush forest and next to the river, the place seems designed for us. The sound of rushing water and the rustle of leaves in the wind create a soothing melody, as if nature itself is welcoming us. Best of all, we can take a refreshing dip and cleanse ourselves, something we desperately need after days of trekking.
As soon as we remove the saddle, the horse drops down and rolls around with its legs in the air, enjoying the relief of scratching against the earth after the long day's work.
So begins our daily camping routine, unsaddling the horses, gathering wood for the fire, preparing dinner, and finally, enjoying that magical moment when the day fades away and the steppe fills with stars.
It will continue in chapter 5. Do not miss it.